All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Running with Wolves. So we are going to talk today about how to create more sales through really authentic marketing. Now, a question I've often been asked is, how do I create sales without feeling salesy and feeling like me, honestly? And so that's kind of what I want to talk about, because I think a lot of people really struggle with one of two extremes when it comes to creating sales through your content. Number one is that you either don't sell at all because you want to feel like you don't want your audience to feel pressured to buy from you or your brand, or you go to the other extreme. You know how important it is to sell in your content every single day, but you feel like salesy and slimy because you're like, here's my product, here's my service, and that's all you're really talking about, and you don't know how to create that middle meeting ground of creating sales while feeling really authentic. So let's talk about a couple of things that don't necessarily help with creating sales in a really authentic way. And that is, number one, that, we talk a lot about the fact that the old era of marketing is dead. And in this context, a lot of times, when people say oh, I have to have perfectly curated social media feeds in order to sell, that is not what we mean by creating sales. There is this perception now within content and this desire from how people consume content, in my opinion, for really authentic and original and unique content and connection with brands and businesses. So perfectly curated social media feeds are out 110%. And it's not what's actually going to create sales for you. I see so many people that think it's literally a make or break. They're like, oh my God, if my grid is not aligned, I'm not creating sales. But Sally down the freaking street doesn't care if you have an aligned grid. She cares if you're going to be able to tell her what she needs to hear in order to create that sale, or in order for it to make sense to her to buy. So when it comes to the opposite of that, in terms of being authentic, creating connection, creating original content, a couple of things that you want to think about is, number one, how do you want your brand or your business to be perceived in your marketing, right? So something that you need to think about is what is your brand personality? For us, we're very crude and crass, but that's also just kind of who I am in general, number one. But then also number two is that we are very matter of fact, very straight to the point, and we're also really fun and funny, and we don't really take ourselves seriously. Somebody a long time ago kind of dubbed us the marketing girl next door. We call it like it is. We're very just normal people, and yeah, we create kick-ass results and revenue, but also at the same time, it's we're just never really going to stray from who we are. So that is built into our content constantly. If you look at my TikToks, I just make a fool of myself all the time. Honestly, you guys, I show up without makeup on all the time. I show up in my sweatpants. There is no need, unless you are a luxe brand. And even then, there are ways for you to still be very approachable and authentic. You have to make sure that you are putting your personality into your content, because it's what creates that unique and authentic connection, number one. So a lot of people then ask, how do I authentically, sell while still being strategic, right? So we're incorporating your personality into it. A way to sell in your content without feeling super salesy and making sure you feel really authentic while doing it is thinking about the solution that your product or your service provides your target audience based on what they're struggling with, what they desire. And my question to you would be, do you believe in that solution that you're offering? Everyone and their mother can tell if you're selling something that you don't believe in. Honestly, if you look at a brand or a business, you can basically see if they believe in what they're selling in or not. I have such a firm belief around the results that we create with our marketing and sales strategies and the help that we give to our clients that I have no qualms about talking about that solution, because in my head, I genuinely believe that if I don't talk about the solution that our target audience can achieve by working with us, I feel like I'm withholding really incredible results from them. So you have to really think about what is the solution my product or service offers, and do I believe in it? And if so, sell that solution every day in your stories. You can talk about the solution of your products or services. You can use behind the scenes to really authentically sell, because you're showcasing the culture of your business or your brand, your team, what your guys' personality is. Again, like I said, if you want to show the behind the scenes, you're also showing the very human side of business, right? So I show, or I film all the time, client interactions, team interactions. I'm showing us, our brand, as like a person, if you will. I'm showing what it looks like to interact with us, what it looks like to work with us. And that is something that our audience really values, even if it's like silly or there's bloopers or like my dog does something funny, right? That's all stuff that our audience really values, and that makes them connect with us that much more. What you probably shouldn't be putting in your social media is like, so there's enough of an authentic side of you and your brand that you want to show the world, and there's probably like too much, right? Like you don't really need to talk about if you have like food poisoning the night before and like the messy ins and out of that. You don't really need to talk about like your on again off again relationship in your content, right? Your audience probably doesn't need to hear about that because it doesn't pertain to the solution of your brand or of your business. But anything that you want to show of like the behind the scenes of your brand or your business, or like the human side of your brand or your business, that is great for authentic selling. The other thing I also want to emphasize is when it comes to authentically selling, video content is huge for creating that connection. If you are not on the video content train, if you're not on TikTok, if you're not using video content on Instagram, any of your social media platforms, this is something that has been popular for years now, and I don't think it's really going to go away anytime soon. So you need to make sure you're jumping on that bandwagon because it communicates so much more than written content ever could. And then last but not least, I think when it comes to authentically selling the solution of your product or your service, it also comes down to really connecting with your audience and knowing your audience. We talk about this a lot in terms of figuring out what they care about. Like, what does your audience want to see more of or see less of? What are their real problems and desires that they're having, and how are they experiencing that? Can you talk about those experiences? What are they having conversations about, right? Are there pop culture references that they're talking about? Any of those things. That helps you create more community and connection. Like, for example, our audience loves Taylor Swift, Sex and the City, wine, dogs. So what am I showing in my content when I'm solution selling? All of those things, right? Interior design, they care about all of those things, and it creates a genuine connection so that when we also talk about the solution of our offers, it's a no-brainer for them when it comes to creating those sales. So hopefully this helps you guys have a better understanding of how to create really authentic sales through connecting with your audience, what to do, what not to do. But if you're struggling with selling authentically, if you're not selling, or if you're selling too much and you don't know what that middle meeting ground is, pop your questions in the comments below and we'll chat through them in our next Q&A episode. All right. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye guys.